All right, let's get into it. Today we're looking at a piece of hardware, the Kramer DIP-31. And I know what you're thinking. A 4K 60 HDMI and VGA auto switcher? That sounds incredibly dry.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly scream excitement, does it?
Not at all. But, I was going through the specs from HDTV Supply, and my first take was, okay, it's a box that switches video inputs. But the more I read, the more it feels like it's trying to be, I don't know, an invisible stage manager for a meeting room. Is that giving it too much credit?
No, I think that's actually a really good way to put it. Our mission here is really to figure out how this thing bridges that gap between, say, an old laptop and a brand new 4K screen. But the real story is the automation.
Okay, so that brings me right to the first thing that really jumped out at me. Maestro room automation. To be totally honest, my first reaction was, that sounds a little like marketing fluff.
I can see why you'd think that.
Right, but usually room automation means you're hiring an expensive programmer for a week. You're saying this little box does that on its own.
That's the shift. It's built in. The DIP-31 uses what it calls triggers. And these aren't just, a button you press on a wall panel.
So what is a trigger then?
It could be as simple as you plugging your laptop into the HDMI port. The device senses that active connection and can automatically fire off commands, turn on the projector, lower the shades, dim the lights.
So it just completely bypasses that whole fumbling for 3 different remotes phase of a meeting.
It's all about minimizing human error. You plug in, and the room is ready. It's designed to kill that first 10 minutes of, can everyone see my screen? Is the audio working?
Okay, so Maestro handles the room itself.
Yeah.
But what about when you have multiple people trying to present? I saw a feature called Step In. How does that actually work?
So think of Step In as a kind of master override. If this box is connected to a bigger switcher upstream, like in a large lecture hall, the user at this specific table can hit a button and tell the whole system, hey, ignore everyone else. Show my screen now.
Like raising your hand and instantly getting the floor.
Exactly that. It just manages the presentation traffic so you're not having to, call the AV tech to repatch something in a closet.
Speaking of patching things in, let's talk about the inputs. 2 HDMI, fine, that's pretty standard. But it also has a VGA input. Honest question, why are we still putting VGA ports on a device that costs, around $760?
It's funny. In corporate, government, and especially higher ed, VGA is the cockroach of connectivity. It just refuses to die.
I can believe that.
And you just can't have a big meeting fail because a visiting speaker shows up with a 10-year-old laptop. This box makes sure that person isn't locked out.
But does keeping that old port around drag down the quality for everyone else?
Not at all. It handles up to 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. But you did mention the 4.2.0 part in the name earlier.
I did. I know 4.4.4 is sort of the gold standard for color information. So is 4.2.0 a big compromise?
It's a calculated trade-off, really, for 90% of what happens in a meeting room. PowerPoint slides, Excel sheets, web pages. You don't need cinema-grade color accuracy. Using 4.2.0 gives you that high resolution and smooth motion without needing massive amounts of bandwidth. It's about stability.
That makes sense. It's a presentation tool, not a movie theater. So how does it know when to switch between inputs? The spec sheet talks about automatic live input detection.
Right, and this is where it gets a little technical, but really clever. It's not just looking for a plugged-in cable, it's listening for something called video clock presence.
Okay, so how is that different from just seeing a cable is plugged in?
Oh, it's a huge difference, a huge one. A lot of cheaper switchers just look for that little bit of power, the 5-volt pin. The problem is, your laptop can be asleep and still send that 5-volt signal.
So the switcher flips over to a completely black screen.
Precisely. The dreaded black screen. By waiting for the video clock, the actual digital heartbeat of the video signal, it only switches when there's something real to show.
That is clever.
It also solves the audio problem. If someone uses that old VGA connection, this box takes their analog audio and embeds it right into the final HDMI output. One clean signal to the display.
And what about the physical box itself? If this is sitting on a conference table, is it going to be making noise?
Nope. Silence is golden, right? It uses convection cooling, so no fans at all, and it has an aluminum case that acts like a big heat sink. It's designed to be completely silent.
So wrapping this all up, this is clearly not just some splitter you'd buy at a big box electronics store. This is a serious professional tool.
It really represents that shift from just dumb hardware that passes a signal to smart hardware that has some awareness of the room and the meeting. The goal is to remove friction.
Which is something I think anyone listening can appreciate, just efficiency.
And that, it kind of leads to a fascinating thought to leave you with, right?
Go on.
If a simple video switcher can now control the lights and shades just because you plugged in a laptop, what other passive office behaviors, like, say, someone sitting down in a chair or closing a door, should we be automating to get back some of that lost productivity time?
Something to think about. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.